Hello friends, in this video I'm going to answer Business Studies 2018 internal. So if you are new to this channel, kindly do the subscription or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. So the question is saying the following information was extracted from the books of N. Temple on 30th November 2017. We also have the information. Now, let me just go direct to the question. So the question is saying, prepare Temple's trial balance showing the correct heading. Prepare Temple's trial balance showing the correct heading. 10 marks. So when they say showing the correct heading, you need to write the correct what? Title. So in this case here, we are preparing the trial balance for the N tables. Okay? So it is going to be trial balance of N tables. Okay? Trial balance of N tables on 30th November 2017. Trial balance of N tables on 30th November 2017. Okay? Yes. Then, here we need to write what? Details. Okay? Of course, when you go there in an exam, you're going to find that the detail and also the debit column and also the credit column will be done for you. Okay? So, details, debit column, and credit column. Now, when you go in an exam, the first thing, when you have been given the data like this, the first thing, you need to identify things that you are supposed to credit and things that you are supposed to do at debit. Okay? So in this case here, let me try to help you. Things which you are supposed to credit. Okay? So in this case here, the first one here we are having what? Sales. So if you see that sales you are supposed to credit or you are supposed to debit, you need to mark it. Okay? So in this case here, always as for sales, you are supposed to credit. So in this case here, I'm going to mark it. Okay? So as for sales, you are supposed to do what? To credit. And sales returns, you are supposed to debit. Sales returns, you are supposed to do what? To debit. Okay? So apart from that one, we also have machinery. As for machinery, you are supposed to do what? To debit. So as for this one here, I'm not going to do anything on this part here. Okay? Apart from machinery, we also have debitors. As for debitors, you are supposed to debit. Then as for creditors, you are supposed to do what? To credit. So in this case here, I'm going to mark it. Okay? Yeah. So, the next one, it is what? It is the insurance. As for insurance, you are supposed to debit. As for insurance, you are supposed to debit. Followed by carriage outwards. As for carriage outwards, you are supposed to debit. Then as for purchases, you are supposed to debit. Now, let's take an example. In an exam, if they give you purchases returns, as for purchases returns, you are supposed to do what? To credit it. But as for purchases, you are supposed to debit. Okay? Yes. Let's come to capital. As for capital, always capital, you are supposed to credit. So as for this one here, I'm going to mark it. Then the last one, we have the bank overdraft. As for bank overdraft, you are supposed to credit. You are supposed to do what? To credit always. So even this one here, I'm going to mark it. Okay? Now, once you are done Once you are done with this, try to add now when you are in an exam, okay? Try to add the figures. Once you add the figures for the credit, try also to add the figures for the debit. If you find that the figures are balancing, first, just put the information on the table. So in this case, let me start with the sales. Since we have done with the explanation on this part here, so as for sales, we're supposed to do what? To credit. How much? 11,800 zilongwe. Then as for machinery, we are supposed to do what? To debit, which is what? 15,400 zilongwe. Then as for debitors, we are supposed to do what? To debit, which is how much? 4,200 zilongwe. Then as for creditors, we are supposed to do what? To credit. It's how much? 6,200 zilongwe. Then as for insurance, always, you're supposed to do what? To debit. It's how much? 8,000 zilongwe. Then as for carriage outwards, always carriage outwards, you are supposed to do what? To debit. In this case, it's how much? 5,000 zilongwe. Then as for purchases, always, you are supposed to debit. It's how much? 2,500 zilongwe. Now, for example, in an exam, if they give you purchases returns, as for purchases returns, you're supposed to do what? To credit it, okay? Yes. Then as for capital, you're supposed to do what? To credit. It's how much? 10,000 zilongwe. Then the last one, which is the bank overdraft, which is 7,100 zilongwe. As for bank overdraft, you are supposed to do a team to credit, okay? So now let me try to add the figures on the debit side and also the figures on the credit side. So let me start with the debit side. So I'm going to say 15,400 plus 4,200 plus 8,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,500. Then the answer is going to be what? 35,100 kwacha. And also on the credit side, 11,800 plus 6,200 plus 10,000 plus 7,100. Then the total figure is going to be what? 35,100. So, as you can see here, the figures are balancing. If you find that the figures are different, which means your table is wrong, but they are going to mark you. If you have entered some details which are having what? Okay, so they are going to mark you if you have entered some of the details